Yes, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Football United TV. I'm joined by a very special guest panel today. We're going to be talking about players that you should be looking out for in the World Cup coming up in, 4 days. But you know what's coming up right now? It's the intro. Yes, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. It's World Cup time, Qatar 2022, starting on Sunday, 3:00 p.m. kickoff in the UK. I'm joined by very special guests today from all around the world. Starting off, Esteban, how you doing, mate?
Hi everyone, I'm very happy to be here speaking about the most beautiful game all over the world. I'm just very excited for the World Cup.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much for joining us, Sven. How you doing,
Hello.
mate?
I'm fine, yeah, all the way from the Netherlands.
Indeed. Nice one, mate. Bargav, how you doing, bro? Back once
Yeah,
again.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited to be talking the World Cup. I'm excited it's finally here. It's gonna be, you know how the world with the World Cup, yeah. Every game, it gets you on the edge of your seat. So I'm excited for it.
Well, it's been
Even though-
bad times since the last World Cup, with everything in the world. It's nice to have it back. King's Football Show. How you doing, mate? Thank you for coming back on.
Listen, I'm good. I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to the World Cup. Like my first kind of competition that I fell in love with was actually the World Cup, and it was the 1998 World Cup with R9. He was my favorite player.
It's a shame he didn't win it that year as well.
Yeah.
Such a crazy final, wasn't it? That one with him being injured, etc., etc. But here we go for the 2022 World Cup, and we're talking about players that you should be keeping an eye out for when you're watching the tournament. And we are going to start off today with Esteban, mate. Who was the player that you wanted to talk about first? Your first pick.
Well, I try to stay away from all the big names, I try to stay away from Messi, Cristiano, Mbappe, and I just pick the one that is my shoes for top scoring during this World Cup, and it's going to be Lautaro Martinez, El Toro, the Bull from Inter Milan.
And
He's
what's the
just
reasons for that? What's your reasons? Why did you pick him out of everybody you could?
He's just pure power. He is not the common or the typical top scorer. That he really gets involved in the game. He has to play maybe a little bit
Uh,
more in the middle. If he has to go to the wing, he just do it. He is really fast. He is really strong, and he has what we call in Spanish the smell of goal. He's always there in the right time at the right position. He has already with Argentina like 20 goals in just 40 matches. He is really amazing, I think.
He is, isn't he? So he plays for Inter Milan, and I mean, of course, they won the league a few years ago. Not doing so great this time, but Argentina look very strong, don't they, mate?
Yeah, definitely. I think that they are one of the strongest team right now. And as I said, the beautiful thing about uh, like Argentina is that they all try to play wherever they can. If Messi has to go to the right, maybe someone will come to the middle, and another one will move to another place. If they all have to defend, they all run back to their field. So that's the good thing about being just they build a team that is really about just teamwork. That's it.
It is, and I mean, everybody's putting kind of their money on. I mean, two specific nations from South America. You got Brazil, of course, that are in the running as well. Do you think with Martinez up front and Messi being able to feed to him, and you've got many other players. We could be here all day just talking about the Argentinian team and how creative it is. But do you think Messi is happy to have someone like Martinez in front of him to be able to provide?
He said it himself. Messi said that the biggest thing that Lionel Scaloni, their coach, did with this national team is creating a team. Is creating a group that they all see like friends, and they all have great communications not only on the field but also out of it. So we already saw it during the Copa America, the American Cup, where Argentina defeated Brazil in the final. So of course Brazil is going to be really really hard because I think that they have the most strong thing name by name, but Argentina is maybe a stronger team, stronger
Yeah.
group.
Yeah, I believe so. Anybody know anything more about Martinez who wants to come in and jump in on this?
Yeah, I think he's a fantastic player, and what's so good with Martinez is that his link-up play is so good, so he makes the other attackers better as well, and he got that South American grit in him. And even though Inter has not had their best season, he's still been very good and important to them, and he's shown that in the Champions League, he's shown in Serie A, and he's a quality player. I like him.
I do too. Sven, you know much about Martinez?
Well, not that much. I don't really watch the Serie A that often, but he's a great striker, and I'm pretty sure he will do well with Messi behind him, and also with the options of Julian Alvarez and Dybala and the attack. Argentina are a big contender to
They
win
are
the thing.
indeed. Yeah, I agree. And Bargav, this could work for
Yeah.
Martinez, probably wanting to possibly make a move from Inter Milan, because obviously we know the Serie A isn't necessarily the place that the stars of today want to go and play football. So this World Cup's really a sort of showcase thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing with this one. In the past, he's been very effective. Like they were saying, like he came off the wing, he scored a couple goals off the wing, and he played in the central role. When they played today, he didn't start. They played UAE on like the pre. I just looked at. So I don't know if he's gonna actually. It depends. Like I think there's gonna be games for him. I just don't know if he's going to be the starter of the team. But I also think with Messi and Di Maria and Dybala, they have so many right wing options. I think they put Messi in the center usually. So I don't know what's going to happen with if they're gonna utilize Martinez as much as I.
Who played up top today?
It was
Alvarez.
Messi and Alvarez. I think were both up.
And I guess because of Alvarez, it's still
It's like they played a 4-4-2. I think they played a 4-4-2 today. But...
Yeah, I guess they're trying to see whether Alvarez fits into the system. He is still a brand new player. He's trying to break into the City team. We can see the potential that he does have. So maybe Alvarez will be someone that they kind of bring on if things ain't going right for Martinez.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like in the past, he's definitely started, and then it's just a matter of like what happens going forward. But go ahead.
No, I think he didn't start today. Got more to do that he just played a few days ago, and he's been playing a lot of minutes for Inter Milan. So obviously, if they can rest him, they probably rest him. Whilst Alvarez has barely played a lot for City, so he's much more fresher. But I do think it will be Messi and Martinez playing at top.
Okay.
I do too. It was a really good pick, Esteban. We will come back to you on your next pick. Sven, your first pick. Who was your first player that you wanted to talk about, my friend?
I think it's Kof Olsen from Denmark.
Okay, yes.
Yeah,
Tell us a
he's
little bit about the player. Yeah, go on, mate. Shoot.
He's a very versatile player. He can play on the left, in the center, on the right. He plays at Club Brugge in Belgium right now. He played 15 games this season and has 6 goals, 3 assists. And also in the Champions League, he played really well when he played. And I just think Denmark isn't really a dark horse anymore because of what they did at the Euros. And yeah, they're probably the most informed team in Europe with the Netherlands right now. But I think he can play a big role in them going far this tournament. His creativity and his pace. And yeah, I just think he is a perfect player for a team like Denmark to kind of fill in the role that Damsgaard did in at the Euros, and he's not been that good recently, but Skov Olsen has been. So yeah, that's about it really.
Club Bruges, he's been exceptional there, hasn't he? That's the thing. People have been looking at him maybe to recruit him in other leagues, because obviously the Belgium league isn't such a significant league compared to others.
Yeah, he's still young. He's 22, and Club Brugge did very well in the Champions League, of course. And yeah, he just caught my eye, so I thought let's point him out there.
Yeah, you picked one there. Anybody else want to talk about Andreas Skov Olsen at all? Anybody have any feelings on him and the impact that he might be able to make for Denmark? Because, like Sven said, they're not really no longer the dark horse. They should be able to get through to their group and get through to the knockout stages.
Not really. Denmark is just a solid team as well. I think that they have made it in the last European Cup, and they should keep the great path that they have been constructing. So I don't follow that much this guy. Actually, it's the first time that I hear from him. The only player that I know from Club Bruges is Ferhat Jugla, the Spanish one. So that he is just on fire, and some people thought that maybe Luis Enrique will give him a call, but if the team is playing good, I mean that this guy should be amazing as well.
Yeah, I think Club Brugge, they've been very well this season. You know, they got him, they got Noah Lang, they got a few gems there, and they did really well. And I think Denmark, what's so good with Denmark is that they are a solid team. They're not reliant on one superstar. Like, for example, Norway is very reliant on Ødegaard and Haaland, whereas in Denmark, they got teams of players and they fight for each other. And I think they will do well again. I can see them go quite far in this World Cup. I can see them go all the way to a quarterfinal. That's good for me.
It's so good to see Eriksson being able to play again in a major tournament. Bargav, what do you make of that as well, and his role in Denmark? Because obviously he's been there, done that. He's been through it all really in football, and like I said, it's really good to see him like lining up again for the team.
Yeah, no, that's a great story. It's a great story after everything that's happened. Denmark. Denmark's they have like they're in that group. I think they could. I don't know. This is what I think they'll do well. I just don't know how far they'll go into the tournament though. That's one team I just don't know how far they'll go into the tournament.
I think they can possibly top the group with Tunisia, Australia, and France, and then you get on the good side of the bracket.
Oh, yeah, they have France in that group.
Wow, you think they can top it?
Yeah,
I think they can top it. France isn't go great. So many injuries. Pogba isn't there, Kante isn't there, and Nkunku isn't there. I think they can top that group with the chemistry they have and some individual quality from the likes of Eriksson, Skov Olsen, Lindström from Frankfurt is another great player. They have a good goalkeeper.
You know what? You make a good point, because we saw France in the Euros and they didn't seem to do very well there. They've had lots of injuries, of course, so it might not work in their favour. I agree, and this could be the time Denmark pounce then.
Yeah, and like 12 years ago in 2010, you got Ghana in the quarters, Paraguay in the quarters, who both almost made it to the semis. So everything can happen, really. So
I remember when Costa Rica got out of group with England.
They topped the group with Italy, England.
That was 2014.
Yeah. So it's a World Cup. You have to make some bold calls. So
I mean, France is going to be more one-dimensional, but I mean, they still got decent quality. I mean, their midfield is going to be Chouameni and
Camavinga.
So they have some chemistry there. They have some chemistry there too. So
the World Cup card.
Yeah, he just got. I think he's out of the World Cup today. I saw I don't know. Nkunku's out today.
And
like he got picked up injured.
Yeah, he got injured in training.
So, I mean, but they still got Benzema. They still got Dembele. They still got there's some chemistry there. There's some chemistry there still. So
it was a very good pick there, Andreas Skov Olsen. Everybody, that's another one to look out for. We're going to ask King about his selection, or his first player that he wants to talk about. King, introduce.
Yes, so I've chosen Bruno Guimaraes. I think he a wonderful player, and I didn't want to pick either one of these obvious picks, like your Messi's and Ronaldo and Neymar. So I've watched Bruno Gomes since he was in Lyon, and he's one of the best midfielders for me in Europe. And you've seen the tremendous job he's done for Newcastle and how he brought them up, and they are now fighting for Champions League. And the thing with Bruno is that he can play everywhere in the midfield. He can play defensive mid, he can play box to box, he can play number 10. He's strong, he's technically good, he got good passing, good shot, and he's another one with that grit, that South American mentality. And I think he's gonna be key for Brazil if they want to get that World Cup title back again. So I think he's a player people should look out for if you don't know about him.
You see how well he's done, King, for Newcastle. It was a great signing for them, especially, and they're obviously third in the league. And I think he's an important role for that process, and he can only do that for Brazil, I feel.
Yeah, and he's been a main guy in their team. And the thing with Bruno as well is that he's someone he's a winner. He fights on the pitch, and you see that's why he's done so well for Newcastle, and that's why the fans love him so much, because he's a fighter, and they can see the passion that's in him together with the ability as well. And as you said, like, nobody was expecting Newcastle to be third, and they are third because they've been the third best team in Premier League this season. I've been so impressed by them.
They have been amazing. Anybody else want to add any more on Bruno Guimaraes?
Bruno is such a joy to watch. Just like King said, he's such a fighter, but he is not only a fighter, but also he is really talented. You can see the Brazilian spice on him when he is on the field, and it's great. It's a great team to watch, this Newcastle, because they have all the money in the world, but they are just building a project. They are not just picking players that are really expensive and putting them together, but they are trying to create a process with these young players. And definitely Bruno, if he is not going to be a starter for Brazil, he is going to be maybe the first sub that comes out at second time. So he's a really enjoyable player to watch.
Completely agree. Bargav, you wanted to say something there?
Yeah, so this is for me, I think he should start. But here's the trend with Brazil, right? They play 4 attackers, and then Paqueta always starts in the midfield. And then Casemiro is always there. There's one more midfielder, and I think he should be the one over Fred or Fabinho, personally. But I just don't know. I think like the way it's gone, like in the big games, I think they're gonna have two. They're gonna have like maybe Fabinho there, but I think for me, I would put him over. I would put him over like Fred. What do you guys think on that one?
I would definitely start him next to Casemiro. He's better than Fabinho right now.
I don't even think that's a question to ask whether you want Fred in the team. I know he's been good for Brazil, but I think Guimaraes for me. Yeah, what about you? You saying Guimaraes over Fred, Bargav?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah, 100%.
The thing is, here's the thing, like, because Brazil has so many attackers, they play all of them usually. Like Richarlison, it's usually like Richarlison, like Rodrigo on the right, and Vinicius, or even Rafinha on the right, and then Neymar usually plays a central role for Brazil a lot more. Just in recent times, he's just taken up. He's starting more in the midfield. So then the 2 midfielders left. For me, it should be Casemiro and him, but it just hasn't been the trend, I guess. Paqueta's like always there too. There's so many dynamics with the Brazil team. So honestly, I hope he starts personally. What do you think, King? I mean, what do you think? With like
yeah, I think the fact that he's been so in form and Paqueta hasn't really kicked on for West Ham this season and also had injury issues, I think that could help push him into the 11, because he hasn't really been bad when he's played for Brazil. And as you said, I think Brazil's issue is that they have so many good players. So the manager has struggled to find 1-11. Sometimes it's Casemiro Fabinho, sometimes it's Casemiro and Fred, sometimes it's Casemiro and Bruno, sometimes it's Paqueta and Casemiro, sometimes it's Fabinho and Paqueta. So
it's a problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah. It is a good problem, and I think this is probably the most kind of balanced squad Brazil has had since the early 2000s, and I think they will be very disappointed if they don't win it.
Completely agree. We'll move on to Bargav's player next, but I just want to read out a couple of comments. Big up to Bobby K. And big up to Miss Melina. So glad you're okay. You're well. I know you've been very poorly with pneumonia recently, and I didn't even hear until Robbie said on AFTV about you. And so glad you're okay and you're here. This is good. This is good for a comment from you.
Wonderful news. Honestly, this made my day to see Melina is back in the chat. You know, everyone's been praying for you. Everybody has been so concerned for you, and you can see on social media how many people really care for you, and that's down to your personality. It's down to the person you are. And welcome back.
I couldn't have said that any better. Well done. Yes, Mel. Big up, Mel. Get in touch with me as well, Mel. I know we've been chatting recently. I'm glad to hear you all right as well. So, Bargav, your player. Moving on. Who's your first?
So this is for the England fans because this is the big one. I think it's going to be Declan Rice. I think Bellingham's used to this. It's funny because at Dortmund, I think they play a similar system, especially against like City and whatnot. So Bellingham's used to this. He can play there, and he's probably going to start. His partner is going to be the key one, especially with like the defense, which is the biggest worry for England. And I think he's going to be the biggest one for them. So with him, like he's now like a West Ham captain. But I still think like just regardless of how West Ham season gone, I think he's going to be the most important one to look out for, just based on what he adds and the solidarity he adds to that to them. Because I think the attack's going to take care of itself. It's just this part of the field to see where it goes. But yeah, that's what Declan Rice.
You think he will be captain one day? He does look like he could potentially be a future England captain as well, not as just West Ham, but as England as well.
Yeah, I mean, he has a personality for it. I think he got pretty influenced by like Mark Noble, right? So Mark Noble pretty much took him under his wing at West Ham. Pretty much made him into the West Ham captain. So the next stages will be, I think he's eventually going to leave West Ham. I don't know if it's going to be this year. Most likely it will probably be this year because he's kind of like rejected the contracts. But for me, like wherever he goes and depending on if he keeps his form, I think he could be a future England captain. He has that personality too. So even though he's like part Welsh, right? Like I think there was a big controversy.
No, Irish it was.
Irish, it? All right, yeah.
Yeah, I think he played for Ireland. Maybe once. King shaking
under 20s he played for Ireland.
He played for Ireland for the I think from under 17 up to under 21, and they were sure he was gonna pick them, but he chose.
Yeah, there was a big controversy. I remember it was like somewhat of a big controversy, but as far as his like game goes, I think he's better for that role than Calvin Phillips because we still don't know what he brings actually because he's still injured he's been injured all year. But Calvin Phillips is a pretty good, decent player too. But for me, I think Declan Rice is probably going to be the one in that midfield, and most of England's hopes will probably rest on him doing well.
There was a Brazilian player that wasn't picked. This is quite some time ago. I can't remember his name, but he was playing in Germany and he was a top goal scorer one year, and Qatar tried to give him nationality because Brazil wouldn't play him and Germany wouldn't play him. I can't remember the name of the guy. Then Qatar went, well, we'll give you nationality. And then he was going to play for the national team for Qatar, but they never made any World Cup, so it never happened. I think FIFA got involved and stopped it. But these things sort of happen when players have the dual nationality and they can kind of choose. I mean, you see what Ivory Coast for Zaha, he could have gone to England, couldn't he? And then he decided it wasn't really going to get picked for England. Probably better off going to the Ivory Coast. And
it's like Jorginho. It's like Jorginho, Martinelli, and Thiago. Like they could have all. Well, they could have played for like multiple nations, like Italy, Spain, and they just did like nations. But It
I think
happens.
Diego Costa as well, isn't it? He Brazilian.
Diego.
Yeah, he's
For a
Brazilian, and
second.
then he chose Spain. Yeah, it's
Okay.
not it's sometimes that you run into like major controversies with that, but I think it's sometimes fair to the player though, right? If they have multiple options, like I mean, the U.S. benefits from that too because a lot of players, like Des could have played for the Netherlands and he chose the U.S. There's a lot of players here that with dual nationalities that end up choosing the U.S. So
Yeah, I always
Yeah.
when I was younger, Bargav, because I found out that I could actually play for India, and I was like, I'll actually play for India. I'd love to do that because I'm never going to get in the England team, and if
yeah,
I had any chance, I'd at least play for India because I know the Indian national team, even at the moment, is. I saw a documentary about it, and they're trying to get it back in form. It's not going very well, but yeah, I was always like, yeah, if my granddad was from India, then at least I could play for India. That's, you know what I mean? I always thought that as my.
I know what you mean.
In the
Yeah,
past,
it's an interesting topic because I was at the opinion, me, I could play for Senegal, Gambia, and Sweden, and I always said I would play for either Senegal or Gambia. And like when I was little, I always had the opinion that, these players should play for their mother nation. So we've seen where like France and England have really benefited from immigration from Africa and from Jamaica and the island. But then now, recently, my view on it has changed. And for me, you should represent the nation where your heart is. So if your heart is for England, but you could play for Nigeria or you could play for Jamaica, then you should play for England because that's where your heart is. And I should not tell you where you should play. But if your heart is in Nigeria, then you should choose Nigeria. Where I think it becomes a bit more controversial and a bit boring is when a player cannot play for the team they want to play for, and then they choose a second nation that's not as good, but they get an opportunity to play there just because they can play in the World Cup. That's where I'm a bit. Is it
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Wrong?
There is a discussion about, for example, how the rules changed for this guy Munir, the one that used to play in Barcelona and for Spain and now plays for Marruecos, because
yeah,
the last or the former rule was that if you already played a game for the major team, you wouldn't be able to change your nationality. But he went all to the, I don't know how to say in English, he went to the law, he went to court, he
yeah.
did everything he could because he was just okay. I was a 17 years old guy. I didn't know what I was doing. I was they play with my heart, but now I want to play for Marruecos. That is where my mom and dad are
yeah.
from. So it's difficult because for example, here in South America, we don't have that discussion a lot because I mean, it's if you take a look at our teams, Argentina, Colombia, Brazil, they are all from this side of the world. But there is a problem when you go to United States, Canada, all in Europe. I even know the Netherlands have a lot of players that they have. I don't know. They their fathers or their nation is another small country, and even in Africa, we have the situation right now with the Williams brothers.
Yeah.
One is playing for Spain, and the other one is playing for Ghana.
Ghana.
So it's really interesting. But I completely agree with you, King. It's about where your heart is, and not where you think that you can play.
I think they changed that rule to like if you played 3 games for the national team or more, you cannot change it. But if you played 1 or 2, you can,
You
I
can,
believe.
Yeah.
and if you are under 23, I think as
Yeah,
well.
they change
Yeah.
it again as
Yeah.
well. That if it goes a 4 year period where you haven't played for your national team, then you can seek to play for another team again. Which
Well,
is
I mean,
for me like
go ahead. Sorry.
for me it's like I understand. For me, the rule should be if you're 20 years and younger, then maybe you're not matured enough to understand where your heart is. But surely when you start to come to 23 and let's say you played 2 games for England, but you're not good enough, and then when you're 27, all of a sudden you want to go and play for Ghana. For me, that's not right. Like it's not a club thing; it's a national thing, and you are taking a position for someone who actually have dedicated and been loyal to Ghana, and now that player cannot play. I don't think that's fair.
In the past, you had I don't know if you guys know him, Alfredo Di Stefano. He played in the 50s for Real Madrid, and he played for Spain, Argentina, and Colombia, I believe.
He played friendlies
So-
for Colombia.
He played for all three
Know
countries.
that, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the rules have changed over the years.
They have indeed. They have indeed. We're going to move on to actually. I'll just read out one comment here. I know Stephen wanted to come on, but we have literally picked our players in days in advance, so we need to keep on track with that. He says, "Hi Matt, hope you're well. Love to hear back from. Love to hear you back, Melina, and you're okay. We all completely agree with you on that, mate. Big G, oi oi." Welcome in. Smash the like, share, subscribe if you are watching. Thank you so much. Big up Matt in the panel, says Anthony. And hi, Miss Melina. Hope you're well. Esteban, your second player, mate. Who was your pick?
I think I'm going to go with the most talented player that is under 23 years old in the world. That is going to be Pedri.
Yes.
The Spanish guy is just amazing. He's pure magic. It's not because I am a Barcelona fan, but of course he is going to be very important for Spain as well during the World Cup. He has already shown up to this team with Canat, with his play on the midfield. He can even play on the wing, trying to impress everyone of that old Iniesta that used to play on the wing, but cutting up to the middle. He's just pure magic. Ever since he started on 2020, and he played like 80 matches in 1 year. This guy, he's just keep growing and growing. He's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you said Barcelona, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not doing so great, but he is sort of the future for Barcelona, right?
Definitely. Last season, because it was this year, last season when Xavi started to lose the team at the end of the season, we all had something in common, and that Pedri was injured. So he is definitely a key player for the Barcelona structure. And Luis Enrique, the coach from Spain, he is also a Barcelona style coach. That's why he just filled the team with a bunch of young players. It is really impressive how many young players they have, but they are all talented. And if they were chosen, is because they have something to add to this. And it's not the Spain that we are used to see, but definitely had something. They have something to show during this World Cup. I don't find them as favorites, but they will do a great World Cup.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say they're not necessarily looking at Spain as favourites. They might be the dark horse of the competition, right? Sven, I see you smiling there. What you got to say?
Well, in my prediction, it's a World Cup, and as we just thought, I think they said Costa Rica topped the group with Uruguay, Italy, and England, I think. So I don't think Spain are making it out of the group. I think Germany and Japan are going through. I really like the Japanese side. We will get to that in a minute, but I think the team is too young. Leaving Ramos at home, the experience isn't. Yeah, you have Busquets, but I don't really see the experience, and I think the young players all want to show themselves. I don't know if that's gonna match with each other, but we will see.
You're right. Leaving Ramos at home, King, is that the right move? I know he's like a 35. I think he's 35 years old.
If it was last year, I would have said it was the right move because he was very injury prone last year. This season, I think it's a bit of a surprise, and that's my only critique to Luis Enrique, where he seems to be very focused on players that either played for Barcelona or are currently playing for Barcelona. He doesn't seem to pick too many players that have been associated with Real Madrid. I was also surprised that Thiago Alcantara didn't get picked. I think he's had a very strong season for Liverpool this year and last year. But what I will say with Spain before I move on to Pedri is that They have one of the best managers in the world. Luis Enrique's CV is no joke, and the brand of football that he wants to play. We saw a bit of it in the Euros, and I think did they get to quarterfinal or semi? Spain. I think they
Semis.
lost to semis. They lost
They
to
reached
Italy, right?
semis.
Yeah, so they lost to the team that won the Euros, so, and they were very good in that game. So I think Spain, a lot of people are underestimating them because it's not the old of Spain where you had your Xavis and Iniesta and Fabregas and Alonso and David Villa and David. They just had so many good players back in the days. But it's a new Spain, and they play good football, and I think they were surprised a lot. I actually think Germans will be the biggest flop. I don't know if you guys have watched them a
Yeah,
lot. They've
it's
not impressed.
it's either Spain or Germany who's going out of the group. I think there will be a surprise there. It could be Germany.
Yeah.
But it
And
was,
Germany is struggling because they don't really have any centre forward who's scoring for them.
Spain
But-
have Morata, and that's about it as a striker as well, isn't it?
am I right in
But
thinking
that's
Ji-sung
that.
Park was the one
Yeah.
that knocked out Germany in 2018 for the last
Who was
kick?
it?
That's
game?
Korea,
South Korea.
It's
South Korea,
yeah.
That's
not
Yeah.
Japan. Yeah, well,
Great.
South Korea, but they couldn't move through in the group stages.
But the
true.
thing with Alvaro Morata is that when he plays for Spain, he has much more confidence because it's less pressure, and the manager loves him and loves what he brings to the team, and he's really helped the attack. Where he's not the most prolific striker, but because of his link up, his hold up, his area threat, he's helped them in that way. But I think Pedri for me is a generational talent. He's one of them who you won't see him stack padding, so he won't get you a lot of goals and assists. But like a Thiago Alcantara, he's that engine who distributes and controls the tempo of the game and find this. He can help the attack to thrive. He's fantastic to watch, and is one of the reasons why Barcelona is leading La Liga right now. I know they haven't done well in Europe, but in Spain they've done well.
Yeah, completely agree. Anyone else got anything to say about Pedri at all?
Yeah, I think you guys are spot on with him. Like, this is his coming out party in a sense, and he's gonna be the big key player for France to like get out of that group and progress forward. And he does control a lot of games, so I'm hoping to have like similar performances for Spain. It's gonna be very interesting with that one.
Agreed. Sven, how about your next player?
Yeah, I'm wearing a Japan shirt right now with his name on the back. It's Kaoru
Why don't you do
Mitoma.
that then? Why don't you show us who it is before you say it?
It's too late now.
No, it is.
Yeah, Kaoru Mitoma. I've been following him for a couple of years now. He's 25, and he moved to Brighton from Japan, and they loaned him out to Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium when they won the league, and he impressed me there. So I started following him more. And at the start of the season, I said to a lot of people that he would break into Brighton's starting lineup over the first months of the season. And now he started getting his like substitute minutes, and he assisted against Chelsea and Liverpool, I believe, to Trossard. And the last two games he has been starting, and he's been playing excellent. He against Wolves, they won 3-2, and he scored one, and he set up two of the other attacks. He's just brilliant. His pace, his dribbling, his vision. He's a special player, and I don't think many people know about him yet. And I think this World Cup will change that.
Yeah, Brighton. I mean, that's incredible because they're doing fairly decently. I know they've lost Graham Potter as well to Chelsea, and they've got the new manager in from Italy.
The new manager has started him twice in his 3 games, I believe. So I think he is seeing his talent as well, and this tournament could very well be his breakthrough tournament. Yeah,
I got it mixed up with South Korea knocking out Germany, but Japan, I think it was Honda in one World Cup where he knocked team.
They almost knocked out Belgium in the round of 16 4 years ago, I believe.
He was a good player.
And
Hamza.
in
Very-
the
That
last,
was a much.
the last minute, Chatley did something, I believe. I don't know who it was.
Yeah, that was Shatley.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any thoughts on Mitoma? The fact that he's playing in the Premier League, he's got obviously lots of experience. He's on the world stage for club level,
Yeah.
and now he's going.
I think
to
that the Premier League fans will know him now since like a month or so.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he's really impressed. It was impressed with me is his energy. He seems to have like he's a very energetic player, very technical, and he even scored against Arsenal in the League Cup. And I know he's scored a few goals in the Premier League and have done a few assists. And Brighton has really started to kick on now with the new manager, and he's been a big part of that. So I think he's gonna have a good tournament, and I think Japan is gonna be. I'm not saying they're gonna go far, but I think a lot of teams are gonna struggle against them. They have some very good players
Yeah.
in their squad. Japan.
They have the youngsters mixed with the experience at the back. And I believe if they get second in the group, they don't have the most difficult side of the bracket in my prediction. So, well, I don't know how far they can go, but I think they are my dark horse underdog kind of team. With
Yeah,
the likes of
interesting.
Kamada, who's at Frankfurt, who's actually scoring a lot of goals and he's in crazy good form. And then obviously you have Minamino, Kubo,
Tomiyasu in the back.
Tomiyasu at the back with Yoshida and Nagatomo, who have a lot of World Cup experience in them. And you have Endo in midfield from Stuttgart, who is also an amazing box-to-box midfielder. And I can see them surprise people. And I hope they do, so I'm right. I told a lot of people about Japan, so it would be kind of sad if they don't do anything now.
So that's Kaoru Mitoma of Brighton and Japan. Everybody should look out for them. Just going to read out a few comments before we go to King's second choice. And I've got here Big G, in my opinion, place of birth and parents' nationality. That's it for him. Big G says Xavi also. Anthony says, I think there are a lot of good players in this World Cup, but I have to say it will be a Brazilian for me. They are my favourite to win. Big up to Solo from the Man United agenda. Big up with the fire. Big up to Miss Melina too. And yes, my DJ and Kings and the panels. Okay, King, your second player. Who is it? Who's it gonna be?
I guess this is gonna be a surprise for a lot of people, but I've gone for Poland, Zielinski, and the reason why I've gone for him is that he's had a fantastic season with Napoli. He's really been on fire, and he's impressed in Champions League against Liverpool, and they've just looked so good this season. Napoli, they're leading Serie A. They are flying. The attack is so good, and I think if Poland is gonna have a good World Cup, he's one of their key players, and I think his link up with Lewandowski is something people gonna have to look out for. I think he's an exciting, very technical, good player that's finally kicked on. You know, we've been waiting for him to kick on for years, and he's finally done that this season. And I like him. And I have to say, like, Serie A has been known for being a very defensive and pragmatic league, but the past few years, especially last season and this season, it's been fun to watch. I've watched a lot of games with Napoli, AC Milan, Lazio, Inter Milan, and it's a good league now. They're really improving.
The Napoli are doing great. I mean, Champions League, smashing it. I think they're top of the table.
Yeah, they are by
Yeah.
quite some margin as well, I believe.
It's amazing. Anybody else got any thoughts on Zielinski? The fact that he is really making a name for himself, not just with his club, but clearly Poland, like you said, King, they're going to be doing or trying to do a lot of stuff in the tournament with Lewandowski's last tournament as well.
They do have a difficult group with Argentina and Mexico, who always seem to do well in World Cups, and Saudi Arabia, who are obviously like they know the climate because all the players play there. So that might work in an advantage for them. But
Yeah.
I think Poland can get out of that group and can actually do something with Lewandowski, Zielinski. You have Szymanski from Feyenoord. I watched him this weekend, and he has been amazing as well. So yeah, they have a very good front three with those three players if Zielinski is playing the more attacking role.
Anybody else on Zielinski?
Actually, he's just a worker. He's a hard worker. He has been in Napoli for a lot of years, and he deserves to be in the spot where he is. They deserve. I think that Italian league is nowadays is more fun to watch than when Juventus won every single game. So it is good to see Napoli at top. It's good to see how a manager can change the mentality of a whole team, because they lost their big names. They lost Koulibaly, they lost Insigne, they lost Mertens, but they stuck with the young players and the ones they had been playing for maybe 2 or 3 years with them, and they are just doing fantastic.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Okay, Pitois, Zielinski. Any more on that, King? Anything you want to add to it?
And now for me, it's like, he's one of them players that I'm looking forward to see and looking forward to see in World Cup. I think one of the things that's nice with World Cup is that usually we see players express themselves more, more flair, less rigged like in club football, where it's all about the systems and taking positions. In World Cups, usually we see more technical ability and flair. So, yeah, look out for it.
Look out for him, everybody. King's right. Look out for him. One to watch for. Going on to Bargav's last choice, and then I'm going to tell you my 2 choices, and then we're going to ask you who you think will win the World Cup to finish it off. Go for it, Bargav. Who's your choice?
Yeah, so initially I was going to say Neymar, but, for me, I think, just based on where everything's going, like for Portugal-wise, I think they could be one of the spoilers, but I think it really does come down to Bruno, because at the Euros, I think he was pretty criticized at the Euros. Like, I don't even think he made the team for the one of the games towards the end. They really are gonna need him this World Cup. And I guess like when Ronaldo went to Manchester United, they were hoping like that partnership is gonna continue on into like the Portugal team. So it's gonna be very interesting watching him play, and he could definitely like show up and score a couple goals and just change everything. So I think he's going to be a big X factor for that group. And that's a tough group, right? Like it has South Korea, has Uruguay,
and Ghana.
And the only thing about Uruguay is like they have aging stars with a couple, they have a lot of aging stars. But Ghana's in that group, which depending on which Ghana shows up. I mean, I saw Ghana. I think they somehow found a way to like beat Nigeria, and they made it to the finals, but they can put on performances. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. That's a really tough group still. So he's definitely a player to like look out for like Portugal's chances.
I think Portugal is really a hit or miss.
Yeah, it's going to be but this is the golden generation. I mean, this is in the last since they won the Euros, the development they've had in like player talent, they should be able to put together a performance.
But some of them had went down as well, like Joao Felix.
He's still in the squad, though, right? He's still in the squad.
Yeah, he is in the squad, but he is not the player that they were expecting for him to be. And I think the same happens to Bruno, but it's maybe because of the current situation of Manchester United. It's not his level of his performance, because he's such a top midfielder that even if he has to defend, he does it. But his attacking skills are really good, not only with the passing, but as you said, also scoring many goals on his first season with Manchester United. So they are going to need him, and they are full of skilled players like him, like Bruno Fernandes, like Bernardo Silva. Like, I think the only one that didn't make it was Diego Jota, right? The one.
Yeah, well, he's injured. He got injured,
unfortunately.
But they still have like so many more, like so many replacements on top of it. Like João Mario's played really well this year for Benfica.
Rafa is going as well from Otavio. One of those two is going
from Benfica. It's probably Rafa.
Matt, can I ask you something about Bruno? Do you feel like he's gone from being overrated to underrated? Is that a fair statement?
Who?
Bruno.
Bruno Fernandes, where when he burst into the scene, he was being compared to the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. Some were saying he's even better, and now it's like nobody rates him anymore. He's just a stat merchant. I think
Yeah,
it's been hard.
that's a very, very, very good question. No one's ever asked me that. I do. I think he's in the middle. I think he sometimes can be underrated and then sometimes can be overrated. I just think he's a decent player when he's on form, and if he's got the players around him as well, he's a talent. I remember seeing him like live with my own two eyes when he was playing for Sporting Lisbon when I went to go out there and watch him, and he was fantastic. I was like, someone's going to pick up on him eventually, because you could just see it with your own two eyes, the way he controlled everything. And you saw that when he first went into Man United. But I think with all the drama and everything, it doesn't really help him. He's someone who likes to speak out. You heard what he was saying about, what's his name? Garnacho recently, about the way he's been in training and around the club. And he is someone like that who's a kind of bit like Ronaldo. And, the interview is coming up very shortly, so we've got to finish up. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's in the middle. I think he needs to just find that middle place and stop being overrated, underrated, and just stick to being a good player, like I've seen him when he first started playing.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
The thing with Portugal is if they're gonna build around Ronaldo, it could go horribly wrong. I think if they're gonna build around him, he doesn't have the skills he had. It's sad, but if they're gonna build around Ronaldo, I don't see them going too far.
They're not going to build it around Ronaldo now, are they? We
Yeah,
all know.
But Ronaldo is going, and he is in the squad, and he is still Ronaldo in Portugal. So I don't know how the trainer will handle that.
I don't think he'll be there, mate. I mean,
Wait, in the World Cup? In the World Cup?
No, yeah, for the World Cup. But I think the manager's annoyed. I think he's brought a lot of distraction to Portugal right now, and he's literally going to be tagged in everything for the next couple of weeks to do with Man United and not the World Cup. So I do think it's a distraction for Portugal. I think that's the manager's probably not going to be too happy about it. I know Miss Molina just asked us, what do you guys think the CR7 business will cause trouble now in Portugal team? I think it will. I think it will. I think just with the manager, I don't think he wants the press to be all about, we want to hear Ronaldo talking about Man United. They want to talk about the World Cup. They want to, why bring that sort? He should have waited till after, I think, and then just done it in the week between the end of the World Cup and New Year. I want to shout out my two players, just if we can quickly, which is Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David. Obviously, Alphonso Davies playing left back for Bayern Munich, incredible player, and Jonathan David playing for Lille, striker, doing very well. He's been touted around in the market recently for clubs to buy him. Especially Man United are looking at him. So, what do you guys make of these two for Canada as well? And it's Canada's first World Cup since the 80s. So, incredible.
It's a group that's hard to predict. Croatia is not playing that well. They won against Saudi Arabia today, but I'm not too keen on them. But Davies at Canada is not the left back, but he plays at left wing or even as a 10, I think, for the national team. So I think going forward, Canada's amazing, but I'm not too sure if their backline is at the right level to do something.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Anybody else on these two players? What do you make of Canada's involvement as well?
I think Canada is just impressive at this moment, because when you think on North American football or CONCACAF, that's their league, you think on only Mexico and the United States, you forget about them. But names like Jonathan David and Alfonso Davies, and you have a lot of them over there, like Buchanan and Eustachio, that they are performing really good. It's really impressive to see where they can reach, and it's a joy to have them. And it's good to see Alfonso Davies after his hard situation, that he's back and he's recovered and he's playing well for both Bayern and Canada. So like they said, it's an unpredictable group that they are in, but they can, if they perform just as good as they did in the the qualifications, they are going to get in the next round.
Yeah, I mean they topped CONCACAF qualifying, so they're definitely deserving of where they are. As far as like how this is gonna play out, it's gonna be interesting because I've seen them. They ground out wins, so they definitely grinded out wins. So I mean, they definitely could like be. They could definitely like get to the knockouts by playing a gritty style, and it's gonna be interesting with Davies because he was kind of injured. Sorry, he had like the heart condition last year, so he didn't really get to they didn't get to completely get the chemistry down with him. But now he's gonna be back, so it's gonna be interesting where that goes.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting indeed, guys. We are going King.
No, I was just gonna say I'm really happy for North America and for Canada. They are back there. It's good, and these two players, they are very humble. They're two players who work hard, and they got special talent. I think Canada could be this World Cup's kind of a Senegal or Ecuador, who not a lot of people know about, but will have some entertaining games. And maybe if they're lucky, get out of the group stage. It's going to be interesting to follow them. Good picks, man.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting World Cup. And I think to end it off, everybody, before I do some comments and then we completely finish it, is who do you think's going to win the World Cup? Esteban.
I'm going to go with Argentina. No hesitation on that.
There you go. You're unhappy about Colombia not making it this time.
Yeah, I have, but I have to pick a side. So I'm on Argentina's boat right now. But of course, I would have loved to see my national team there. But if we didn't make it, it's because we don't deserve it. We did such a poor qualification. So my heart is with Argentina and with Messi.
Good pick. Sven, I know you're going to be biased to Holland, aren't you? Of course, but
well, I've been saying Japan for like 2 months as a joke now to everyone, so I'm just saying it here just in case it happens. I have said it. Now our Van Gaal is very confident that it is possible with this group, so I'm gonna back the Netherlands. I have to.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
I think there will be a new.
Missed out last time, Sven.
Yeah, 2010 is still haunting me. So hopefully it's
not as bad as Italy, though.
No. We are here. That's something.
They've had 3 in a row now, haven't they? They've missed out on.
No, I think they got 2014.
No, it's 3. Didn't go to Brazil. Didn't go to Russia. Didn't go to this one.
Weren't they in the group with Costa Rica in 2014? No?
Oh.
No, I thought it was 2 and they.
Sorry, they went out. They went out early. I mean, yeah. So they just missed out on completely 2 times.
It could also be like I think there will be a new country winning the World Cup, like the Netherlands or maybe even Denmark.
Yeah. King, who do you think's going to win it, mate?
I hope Brazil wins it. They are the team that I supported since I was a kid. And it would be the thing is, if Brazil wins it, they have to change the trophy, because if a team wins it 3 times, that's the rule of World Cup. They have to change it, and because they won it 5, if they win it again, we'll make it 6. They have to change it, and I would love for Martinelli and Jesus and Neymar to lift the trophy. So I'm rooting for Brazil.
Brazil, yeah, I'm actually going with Brazil too. Bargav, last but not least.
Yeah, I'm going Brazil. I mean, it's the year. I think. This is it. Like Neymar says, this could be his last one, and it's like an end of an era, pretty much, with like Thiago Silva and Marquinhos. The next Brazil is gonna be way different. I can see Argentina going there just because I think Messi and like Neymar have the most pressure of anybody in this World Cup. So I think they're gonna like deliver. They've been preparing for it for about like a year now, or like 6 months. Sorry, the last 6 months especially. They've gained a lot of form. I think they're gonna be there. If they don't win it, I would love to see I'd love to see somebody from the outside, just not France.
No, not France. No, I agree.
No one wants France. Okay, fair enough. Because they won it last time. That's how it always goes, isn't it? You don't always want the winners from last
Yeah.
time. To win the next
I mean, I'd
one.
love a U.S. quarterfinal run and a final run, but I think it's just not the year for it. But we'll see.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up. I'm just going to read out a few more comments before we do. Eddie says, "Good evening, Matt and the panel. I'm dropping a like. Thank you so much. And everybody else that's tuning in, please do the same if you can. Big up all in the chat. Thank you, Eddie's Football Waffle. Go check him out as well, please. Big G says, Bruno, he's in the wrong sport. He would have been better as an NFL kicker. Can't hit a barn door for United this season." Miss Melina's loving Errol for his comments. Eddie's Football Waffle says, "Good evening, Errol." Big G, Miss Melina. Bruno was overrated in terms of technical ability and now is rightfully criticised. He plays like a cowboy.
He's
Wow,
not a fan.
Wow, he definitely isn't, is he? He's Brokeback Mountain style. Enjoy explaining the barn door analogy, Matt. I'm not. There's no time. And I don't even think Ronaldo can do it in 90 minutes of Piers Morgan, so I'm definitely not going to do it in 5. Big G, Eddie lad, how are you feeling, fella? Big G says he thinks Argentina are going to win. Eddie says, "Good, Big G, regards to you." And Eddie says Brazil with Ney, Magic and Vinicius, the Delicious Junior, will bag it. So a lot of people saying Brazil. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Smash like, share, subscribe if you can. And let's go find out where you can find my wonderful panel today. Starting off with Esteban. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can all the cool cats find you on social media?
Thank you so much for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be in this panel, and also speaking about the World Cup. You can find me on Instagram as Esfel, ESFEL, and that's it. I will be happy to be here whenever you want. Would you want me to be?
Yeah, we'd love to get you back on, mate. During the World Cup, we can do lots of vlogs. So just come on and have your opinion, mate. That'd be brilliant, Esteban.
A South American opinion.
Yes, please. Only the best, mate. Only the best. Sven.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, mate, for coming on with your Dutch magic.
No problem. You can find me on for the community on Instagram. That's really it. There's a link in my bio to the other socials, but I don't use those as much. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Sven. Loving the bucket hat. Liking it. Very smooth indeed. King, thank you so much for coming on, bro. I know you're going off to football right now.
Yeah, as you probably can hear in the background. But thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to the World Cup, and hopefully Senegal can be a surprise and go far. But big up to everyone, and again, big up to Miss Melina. It's great to see you back.
Absolutely, mate. And you're so humble that you forgot to tell everyone where to find you.
Oh yeah. You can actually find me on King's Football Show.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, King, for coming on. And last but not least, Big Bargav, fellow DJ. Where can everybody find you, mate, on the social platforms?
Yeah, you'll just see me on YouTube, just coming and talking about football. Not many things I love in life. Football is definitely one of them. You'll see me occasionally on SFeet League TV, but biggest thing, subscribe to this channel. It's amazing. It's always very balanced and talks from all around the world. So if you haven't hit the like and subscribe, please do.
Thank you, Bargo. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming on once again, mate. And Eddie says, "Cheers for the plug, Matt. No worries at all, mate. I hope it's a European adapter that you're using." Because I didn't give you, if you know what I'm saying. Plug, get it? No? Okay. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the Ronaldo interview. I'm pretty sure you're already tucking into it. We'll be back tomorrow with Matteo talking about shoulda, woulda, couldn't make the World Cup. So we're talking about all the teams that should have made the World Cup but didn't. That's tomorrow at 6:00. Until then, everybody, enjoy the rest of your evening and enjoy the World Cup if you're not back before then. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.